Ladies and gentlemen, Nikita Diakur made his visit to Ljubljana. Tonight at 9 o'clock at Kino Dvor, you could see his film Ugly in the Best of the World program number 3. And I'm really happy that actually you took your precious time on Friday. I think you will already be in Berlin for the European Film Academy Awards. I think this is the right. So your film is nominated in the short European Film Academy Award, which is a great thing. Compliments. So it's good for animation as well that it's starting to be considered more seriously. And not to add much, that just maybe to say that Ugly is a revolutionary film. You will see now why. I'm also happy that we met 3 weeks ago in the New Chitose Airport Festival in Japan. It's a very, very great festival. It was 4th edition, and if you will have the chance to be invited there, just go. Just don't think about it, just go. And Nikita, you received the New Talents Award there, as well as in Fantoche Festival, which was in September, also like a New Talent Award. So it's like you are a new talent, we should say, if those juries... Yeah. So please take your position and start with the Ugly aesthetics and interactive animation masterclass.
Hello. Igor, thank you for the best introduction so far. Never had such a good introduction. Hello again. Okay, this one is better. Thank you for coming, and I'm very glad that you made it. I know yesterday has been a very long night, and I already had a paracetamol. So I'm going to talk about Ugly. It's a film that we've been working on for 4 years. It has been quite a long work, and I planned to make it in half a year, so it didn't go as planned. And it's gonna screen tonight at 9 o'clock. And to show you what it's gonna be like, I'm gonna play a trailer.
In a world of sunsets and decay, in a time where being different means trouble, a man and a cat are destined for a change. Based on a true story from the internet, featuring aerial footage, gripping action, and emotions, all performed by computer-simulated puppets, comes a story of true beauty.
So this is Ugly, and I will talk about 2 things today. It will be the looks, the ugly looks, how we came to make it so ugly, and also the other important bit, which is the dynamics part, because everything was simulated, and I'm going to talk how this came about. And everything started here, and you can read above, it's a website that's for inspirations, and I was really desperate, so I typed in Google inspirations, and this is where I landed. And as destiny wanted it, there was this story, and it's quite a famous story on the internet. It's a story about an ugly cat that is so ugly that everybody treats him badly, and it's a very emotional story, very cheesy, And I kind of felt that it's a bit funny because it's so cheesy and because it tries so hard to be emotional. So initially I wanted to make an ugly film. An ugly film that is really ugly, that is a bit funny, and that didn't really take the message from the story, which is actually quite an important one, that you should treat each other nicely, and it doesn't matter if you're different from the other. And so this was not important in the beginning. I just wanted to make an ugly film, so I started researching ugly CG. And probably know the first one. Do you know it? Does anyone know it? Longoliers. It's a classic of ugly CG. It's based on a book by Stephen King, and it's ugly because it's first it's dated, it's very old, but also I think even at that time it was really ugly. And the second example is it's called the best animation show reel, possibly the best animation reel ever. And if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. You type in on Google or on YouTube, possibly best animation reel ever, and you're gonna find this. And it's really nice. It has a church soundtrack in the back, and it's also very emotional. And yeah, the difference between these two is that this guy, he actually did it intentionally, and he's actually quite a good animator. And this is the direction that we wanted to take, kind of, and started researching more ugly stuff. And so the first one, actually, you have many houses like this here in Ljubljana, kind of, maybe more beautiful, no? Same.
The socialistic remains, no?
Yeah, I really like them. And yeah, this is in Berlin actually, and this is obviously cars is quite a big inspiration. There's lots of ugly cars, and this is probably the most prominent one.
Coming from Torino, Italy, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think it's a wonder of design. And clothes as well. You have here my trousers that I wore in the 90s. Still have it. And you also have computer games and glitches in computer games. There's lots of these on YouTube. And below is Google World, I think, Google Earth. And yeah, they map, they do texture mapping. Sometimes it doesn't work. And this was nice inspiration. And about the cheesy part, because the film needed to be cheesy, I typed in cheesy in Google. I think I didn't, but somehow I landed here. Really love the last bit. It lifts up the mood and gives goosebumps. Yeah, that's where the whole Native American theme started. And I found this one again very funny. And you know this guy. So if you're laughing about it, that's what I felt as well when I first saw it. And maybe this was a kind of a change in the development of the project. Before I tried to do an ugly, funny, cheesy movie, and then still wanted to do it with this. But he's very symbolic because he's actually, he's not a meme. Well, he's a meme now, and you send him to your friends if you want to tell a funny joke. But he is actually an actor who was campaigning in the 80s for the environment and was really successful. And so he's standing for the right things, for the good. And he is actually a fake guy. So he's an Italian, and he's a stuntman. So this was kind of what the story of Ugly became. It became kind of, I tried to make a fake Indian who is standing for the right things. He's telling a cheesy story, a funny story about an ugly cat, but still kind of the good side of it, the message behind the story needed to come out, and it needed to be accessible to people probably like me who find it funny at first, but then who has to think about everything behind the film. And I think that was quite important. It also came with this video, also Native American.
Time evolves and comes to a place where it renews again. Everything is coming to a time where prophecy and man's inability to live on earth in a spiritual way will come to a crossroad of great problems. It's the Hopi belief, it's our belief that if you're not spiritually connected to the earth and understand the spiritual reality of how to live on earth, it's likely you will not make it.
So it kind of looks funny with him there on the side with this blend, but then still it's such a strong message behind it, and this was maybe the serious part of the film. And after that, we started doing drawings, or Mia started doing drawings, first designs, and the main narrator was obviously a Native American and more advanced. And from this came Red Bear. And he's the good soul of the project. He has a Facebook page, and I think he still has more friends than I have on Facebook. And here it's us in the studio, drinking coffee. He's not a big help. And yeah, in the studio we made this. Yeah, that's the other side of the project. If you watch the film today, it's like, what is reality? What is the studio? What is like around us? Is everything real or is it not? And how do you get from one to the other? All that stuff. Very spiritual and but kind of interesting. And about designing stuff, like how to do ugly stuff. This is the base mesh of our characters, and it's a bit like when Yuri Norstein told his wife to to draw with her left hand because her right hand was too good. She was doing designs for him, for his films, and she was doing them too beautiful, and he wanted them to have more character, so he told her that. And this is kind of what we try on Ugly. So it's about surprising oneself. So if your head tells you you have to draw it in one specific way, or you have to build a model like in certain proportions, then you have to stop yourself and say, okay, no, I'm gonna have to do it different. And this is how this kind of stuff happens. So you start with the body, then you think, okay, I'm gonna do two similar arms. That doesn't work, so you have to do one arm a bit smaller, and the feet probably make them more squarey, not round, and so stuff like that. And similar with texturing. This is a bit lazy approach. So it works from one side, and as in film is a fake medium. It represents reality in a fake way. So it has to work from one side, and that's kind of what we try to do in the film as well. Also play with the other side in the film to show the fake side. And this is the playground scene. So it's projected from the camera angle, and the camera is very zoomy, so everything gets stretched from above. And this is how we build the houses as well. Here's a couple of buildings. And many of these are from mines, so I was basically just running around with a camera and shooting a photograph of a building from one side and then building the models around it. I used to live in that house.
Mainz, Germany, no?
Yes, Mainz, Germany. Most beautiful city. Okay, and the most beautiful party place in Mainz is a Euro Palace, and I did a little clip about that. That's the Euro Palace, and you should never go there. Or you could. It's quite funny, actually. And these traces there on the floor is real traces from the cars that are riding, like youths are meeting there and do wheelies. So it's a very inspirational place. And now to the animation, or interactive animation. And so what do we have as interactive animation? You probably know David O'Reilly's new film, Everything. It's his computer game, so he and his team, they made the game, and he played it and recorded the footage and made a film out of it. And I think it won in Vienna. And
Ars Electronica, he got the prize.
Exactly, yeah, he won the main prize.
It will be shown on Friday evening at 9 at Animateka in the Best of the World.
Cool, nice. It's a very emotional film, and it's very like the narration is really nice. It's I think it's who's the guy who's doing the voice for the who's reading the.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Who? Philosopher.
Yeah. What's the name of the philosopher? He's quite famous, isn't he?
We should ask Google. Huh? Robert Danton Wilson.
Yes. And I think he had very big difficulty to get the rights for it, but then somehow he did. And then this film came about, and it's really beautiful. And it's an interactive film because he's playing out a game and makes a story around the games. And another example of interactive animation is Martin Kreis by Jonathan Vinel. And he didn't do his own game, he took GTA. but he played it out in such a also very emotional, beautiful way, and that it's also like running on festivals, winning prizes, and I really love that film. And also Google AI, where you have a program that is controlling the AI or telling it what to do and how to interact with the obstacles, how to learn from its mistakes. And so it's also kind of the programmer is interacting with the characters. And then the character does some stuff that you wouldn't animate like this. So you give up control to software or to the computer as an animator. And usually in animation you have all the control, so you try to control mostly everything. This is, I animated this guy. He has to pick up the cube. And it took me 1 week. So what you obviously, you know, like you have keyframes in animation, so you try to fine-tune those keyframes until everything looks like Pixar. But that's really tedious. So I was looking for ways around it, either make it really ugly or kind of do it like this. And again, I found it on YouTube, and I thought, wow, that's so cool. You just drop him, and it looks very realistic, and I'm gonna save so much time. Maybe make it in a month, the film. It turned out 4 years. Because that was our first experiment. So he is an individual now. He's a real character. So he has a soul and you think that you're interacting with someone. He's like an actor, and but obviously, if you have very emotional scenes, like if you see today the film when the chief gets down and he tries to touch ugly, just do this on his head, then everything starts exploding and it's getting very complicated. So, for example, we were having a problem. How does he pick up that cube now? How do you get him there? And this is how everything works. Like we have ragdolls, and ragdolls are consisting of colliding bodies. So you have arms, legs, and everything is interacting with space. But obviously you have to connect them. So what you do is you put connectors in there, in between these colliding bodies. So now when you drop him, he's doing a snow angel. And to control him, we decided to do marionettes. So you have the controllers there on top, the colored things, and these are connected with springs. So to animate it, you can. So he's just hanging, and then you take one of the controllers, for example, his head and his body control, and then you can jump and wave. So sometimes that's like easy as that, and for little characters like, for example, the bird, it works quite easy. So you have the pigeon there, and there's the wing controllers, and now it's flying. Do you see it? It's below. It's a bit difficult, probably. Anyway, it's flying, and then you can build, like you can make interaction with it. So if you have a tree that is actually, this one is built with hair dynamics, and so the pigeons are colliding against the branches, and it's quite nice. And then you can do more animals. I really like that line. And so it is like really like working with little actors. So you tell them to run, and then when you have to make him stop, then I had to build a cube and make it invisible afterwards, because otherwise he's just gonna like hang around, and it doesn't work for the story. If you have to tell a story with this, it's very difficult. And here's the playground. And in the beginning it was quite difficult because it takes a while to get used to animating like this. So for example, in the bicycle scene, it was difficult to make him really ride the bicycle. What we did was just have a motor circulate his feet and then have the whole environment move past him, which was kind of cheating. I didn't like that, so I tried to make a motorcycle that's actually going forward. And it kind of worked. If he's going to continue, I'm not sure, maybe it just stopped. Let's see. Maybe I have to play it. Oh no, oh no. Okay, sorry.
Try to go back. You can go back.
Maybe I can restart it. Sometimes it works. Oh, okay, something happened.
We can imagine how he...
Yeah, it's not important. Well, no. Oh, he wanted to go now. Okay. Now we have to show him, because it took so long to make it. Come on, you want to go? Okay, yes. Takes his time. It was a big achievement because he is not having anything holding him in place, so it's just the motor that's accelerating the motorcycle, and then so it's with physics that he's actually driving, and then he's only driving until the frame ends. But for a film, it's okay because we only need a certain part of him riding the bicycle, and then what happens afterwards, it's not important. And with motorcycles and motors, you can also do this. Also inspired by YouTube. And this thing in the end, that thing that exploded happened by accident. And this is what is quite a big part of the project, that there's many accidents. And kind of, sometimes they happen just by themselves, sometimes you have to force them. And here, when this happened, what's working here, you have a motor that's spinning the wheel is spinning the carousel is spinning the character on it, and the character has a cloth on it that has very little sampling, and sampling means that the computer calculates in a certain speed, and if the speed is too fast, then it can't calculate quick enough, and then the whole thing explodes. And then this experience with that guy made possible quite a lot of other things. And about accidents, not sure actually what the next one is. Yeah, this is about accidents, like what can go wrong in yeah, that's what can go wrong. Let's see if it works. Maybe I have to click it. Okay, well, it doesn't want to go wrong. But if you open a scene that you saved on the last day in the middle of the timeline, sometimes you get this. And I think I'm going to restart it. Sometimes
That's actually, it's not rendered properly, no? Or, this is the effect of not being rendered properly.
That's the effect of. That was the first frame when you open it in the middle of the timeline, and then when you play it, everything. I'm going to show it because it has to work. Sometimes PowerPoint is bad. Okay, this is what happens when you sometimes open a project. Just some random animals running around. And these are the playground mums. It's a bit disturbing when you come in the morning, open the computer, and then suddenly this. Another thing that's broken was the hair system at some point. I'm beta testing the software, and sometimes the beta version doesn't really work.
What's the software? What it is?
Cinema 4D. And yeah, so the hair just at one day when I updated it started growing, and they fixed it very soon, but I kept that version. And here's one more example. Also, about baking, like when you have a simulation, then you have to bake stuff. I'm going to explain to you. This is wrong baking. So to fix a simulation, because every simulation can always play out differently, like every time it can be something else. And if you want to make a movie, you have to somehow fix it. So that's what baking is for. So you bake the keyframes out. And this is baking, I think his glasses are baked just for the last bit of the clip, and his shirt was baked only until the beginning or something. That was one of the mistakes of the baking. And so you have to control things. Controlling of the animation is very important. And so, for example, this is a control for the car. You have low ride mode. So it's a bit like computer game, like playing a computer game. You build your own little car rig that you can drive around with, and then here's the motorcycle. Now it's going further than until the end of the frame. And this guy there is our cameraman. He is like a stupid shaky cam setup. Works like this, so you can like turn his camera like, and then you do a low shot. And we actually recorded many scenes with that guy. I don't know why. That's why it took 4 years. It's one of the scenes behind the scenes. And here is the final scene from the film. So you can see his shadow there. Probably you can't because it's quite low, but quite many times you have a shadow of the camera guy in the shot. And here's a little tornado controlled setup. So you have 3 fans that are blowing leaves. There's lots of leaves in the film. And you can control them like this. So you have like, I don't know, fan speed, randomness of the fans. So you can make your own tornado. And it's a bit tricky if you want to make a specific movement with it. Then you have to be really quick to be like fan 1, fan 2, and but it's a lot of fun. And if you have fans, you can also do, like, this is all done with Cinema 4D aerodynamics, and with aerodynamics you can also make a drone. So you have 4 propellers that are using the dynamics, and they actually lift the drone, and they have 4 motors, and depending on how quick every motor is spinning, then you can really direct the drone into one particular direction. And here is the drone operator. And the camera guy. And we actually got a drone shot in the film as well. Here's the behind the scenes. There's the drone. And now you can probably see the shadow of the drone on the balconies in the final shot. I think nobody sees it, never, but and another not useful thing to do is to connect a controller to your Cinema 4D or to the program. It's again a reason why it took 4 years. So it's like making your own very expensive computer game, because I think the program is quite expensive, and if you connect your controller to it and make a computer game, so yeah. Also made a little car chase, had to do it. And once you get all these once you get once you know how to control stuff, then you can direct the braking stuff. For example, in the this is all like braking stuff, partly accidental, partly controlled. And he ended up in the film as well, not the last bit, but some of the beginning. Okay, and to conclude, I'm going to show you a recent project that we're working on. It's the inspiration is from this. Maybe you know that clip. It's really nice. It's from a Thunderdome party in Holland. And so, what do you need to do to make that guy dance like that? So you have the controllers there, and then you make a loop of starting with the body, then getting the legs in, I think. Yes. There's lots of experimenting as well. Sometimes he just freaks out. Yeah, the arms. left. You can do lots of variations as well. There's lots of different dancers. Yeah, now he's dancing. And yeah, you have to dress him. This is the final guy. My favorite trousers. And the other one. Oh yeah, these are the different ones. She's my favorite. Okay, then you have to build an environment for them, and we again went to Berlin, shoot some houses, and this is how it's done. So you have a projection mapping on the house. So this is like one picture from one particular angle, or two pictures actually from that house, and then you build around it to create everything. And this is yeah, everything is real time. That's how fast I'm working. Nearly done. Okay, finished. And then you put the dancers in there. And the final film looks like this. Thank you. The music was done by David Kamp. Just if you need some DJ next time. And wanted to end with a beautiful picture. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikita, and let's take 10 minutes for Q&As. If something was not clear, if you want to go more in depth, if you didn't see the film, it's tonight at 9 o'clock at Kinodvor. Maybe I would start... usually you were bringing Ugly with you.
Yeah.
You have it? Because that was like, he was getting a little bit too tired about all the travels and everything, yeah, but so he's still in good shape, I guess, huh? Maybe every time you come home you have to cuddle him.
Yeah, he lost his head in Fantoche.
Okay.
But it's back on his shoulders.
Okay, let's talk about. Okay, I think that the important thing that you are saying here is actually 4 years in the making of, and actually probably 3 years and a half of research, or 3 years maybe of research, or.
Well, the research, like finding the idea, took about a year, I think, and that was a struggle. I just wanted to make a film soon, so I can go to festivals. And then the idea came on this website, and it was not the best idea that there was in the beginning. But then you sometimes just have to start with an idea and then develop the idea, because the most crappy idea can turn into something nice.
Yeah, but technically, for you, what you found in the middle of research actually is the most important thing then for the film, because you decided, you found the way how you will kind of do or like learn a new language yourself by doing it, and at the end it really works. And now it shows that you did a great thing, because like you kind of showed even again and in a more radical way that 3D computer animation should be considered not only for the Pixar realistic type of making, but it could be done in a very artistic and a research way to find even like more possibilities of like adding stuff or using it actually as a stop motion puppet animation in a way, no?
Yeah, it's like a marionettes it's perverting the idea of computer animation, marionettes. It's like faking marionettes in a 3D space and embracing mistakes, and sometimes, it's quite fun actually. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it took 4 years, is also because you try to experiment with so many different things. There's so many new possibilities that happen from one day to another. Suddenly something happens and you want to play with that, and then the whole film takes a back seat, and then it takes another month for it to start again. What was that?
Maybe protesters.
Explode.
Somebody protest against your way of
Pixar.
Okay, anybody has? Yes, Mike, please.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a question about the reactions of people who don't really watch animation, except for Pixar. Like, did you show it to unspecialized audience and like your parents, or I don't know, small children, and what are their reactions?
Yeah. My parents are very critical usually, and my mom, she liked it, but I think she's less critical than my dad. He didn't like what he saw on the first viewing, and then my mom tried to convince him, and then he's like, all right, I'm gonna try another time, and then he watched it the second time, and that's the experience that I have quite often, that people like the film on the second viewing, because there's quite a lot of information to digest first. Like when you watch it, there's so many things happen, and some people switch off or get distracted by some stuff. But I showed it to my mom and my dad, and then many people really feel for Ugly, which I didn't really know if that would happen. But some people come to me and they say, "Oh, that poor cat! I was nearly crying for it." Wow. Because for me, it's just a computer simulation. I've been working on it for 4 years, and I completely lost the emotional connection to that ugly puppet.
But it helps when you have it in a physical way. Like
but I'm regaining that emotional connection somehow now with like watching the film more and more often. You detach from it, so you don't look at the technical bits, and you don't try to think, I could have fixed that, I could have done this differently, and now you just like abandon it, and now you can focus on the story. And if you sit in a cinema sometimes and you hear people laugh at some parts, and then you suddenly start watching the film with new eyes, so it's like you watch it for the first time again, maybe, even if it's like the 20th
But I guess you didn't get a proposal from Pixar to show it as a pre-film to the new Coco hit or whatever it's there. No?
Maybe
You didn't get a chance, as the question was that the general public will see it. So still, I think a specialized audiences at festivals are confronted to your film, and usually the reactions.
maybe it's not for them. Yeah, I don't know. I never expected this film to be for everybody. I think it's very much for animation people, but then also some animators don't like 3D, even if it's like exploding 3D. But yeah, you have to live with it as a filmmaker. I think that you don't please everyone.
Okay, yeah, please. Thomas. No, Thomas, you first. Yeah.
I would like to ask you if, I mean, would you see your work somehow like a continuation, what we know from avant-garde film from 60s, 70s, like a strong intentional counterposition to Pixar, you know? I mean, you know what I mean?
No, say again.
No, I had to think about avant-garde film position of the 60s and 70s when they really intentionally made their films as maybe even as a kind of a political statement against Hollywood kino, really doing something against the traditional aesthetics, also with the intention to really destroy the mainstream in a way.
I think it was not the intention, but really sometimes I don't like when the CG or 3D is too polished, when it's very when it's not thinking about like what it is. So it was not a protest. I think it was just what I like to do, and that's why I did it. But I still like Ratatouille and. Actually my favorite film from Pixar, and I think the story works amazingly, and I still have to, I'm gonna watch Coco. I think it's I heard really good things about it. Yeah, so I think I'm open-minded to Pixar, even maybe it comes across otherwise.
Okay, I will ask the next question. Did you, when you were going to animate them as puppets, as marionettes, did you have to simulate something like gravity to have them being hanging? Did you have to simulate the force of gravity too?
If you work with dynamics, then you have gravity in the software, so it's there. And it's made for, like, if you want to drop stuff, then you activate the gravity as just a tick of a button. So then it's there, but then you can also play with no gravity. So for example, if you want to make stuff float, then you like get rid of the gravity. And then you can bring in turbulence or like wind and all these like natural things that are getting simulated. And yeah, I think that's what you need to do in dynamics.
Connecting to this question, so you added this marionette thing, so but you did need to keyframe these things, or you also had some, let's say, system which you could move them live, you know. Do you understand?
Yeah, there is actually, these are the two options. So you can either keyframe it and then see how the keyframes add up. So you start with one set of keyframes, and you add, for example, the arms or the legs, and then you see how that works. That's the more controlled way. But then you can also just take the mouse and then record the mouse movement. So for example, that's how Ugly was animated in the very last scene of the film. So he's more like shaky and happy. And this is even more interacting. And I think next, like for example, for the drone, you can connect the drone to the controller, and then you can connect it, you can actually connect two controllers. So you have one guy who is live controlling the camera and one who is controlling the drone. So it's like a real, like a drone in real life in the computer. So you can make it live.
So did you consider making like interface for some other people, So let's say that you would release like some indie game, and then they can make this kind of broken CG.
Yeah, I think that would be nice, yeah, but I'm lacking programming skills. Maybe I can team up with someone. Would be nice.
Reinhold, first.
Did you already get requests from the commercial world to work in that sort of style?
That was exactly a question I gave him in Japan.
Yeah.
I was not there.
I don't remember what I answered then, but I think Ugly is very not commercial in terms of it's very not predictable at all. So if you want to have predictable stuff and you have a deadline and you have to do stuff quick, then it's not working. For example, the dancers, we do them for Adult Swim, and they're very laid back. But
so the new project, the dancers, is for Adult Swim.
yeah, I'm not sure. They still have to take it in the end, but and we missed the deadline, which was last week. So I'm very like on the edge.
Because this would be really interesting to bring this imperfection into this perfect world of commercials, etc.
It would be quite nice, yeah, but I think that's only us who will appreciate it.
Okay, Mauro?
Maybe it's technical, but I just wonder about the rendering, because it just is like only like screen render, or you do like compositing, because until you have to you bake everything to be sure to nothing move. How? Because you know, if you want to make layer, there will be many like a chaotic possibility if you do not bake everything. How you manage to make, because the final footage is still have a good quality of image. So how you get then to the ugliness and still a little bit nicer to the compositing.
In the Ugly film, we rendered with a standard renderer, like the most basic renderer, and it's very flat. And then added on top of it a post effect from the sun. There's always a sunset, always a lens flare, which makes it kind of beautiful and tacky. That's what gives it that look, probably. But in compositing, there's not much compositing actually. Everything is in 3D. Even for the last one, the dancing clip, there is no render at all. It's just hardware render.
Just hardware, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the direction that I would like to take on that project. They still have to like it.
More extreme.
Yeah, I think that's better, because it just feels more natural.
Okay, one or two more. Yeah, in the back there. Before you come there, I will ask you. You know, Nikita, when you saw those images of the car crash test with puppets inside, so it's like you had, because like the movement, you know, those like slow motion when they show it, then like it's almost the same type of losing the how to say the what's the word, man? But the dynamics of the body, no? They go uncontrolled.
Yes.
Have you seen those as well, or they were not?
They're probably in the head of everyone who's seen them at some point. So yeah, you know, like in slow motion. That's the thing about the dream sequence. It's kind of slow motion, and that's what you can do as well with simulation. That you can tell it to simulate it very slowly, and then you get a different effect, and you have to play with it. Sometimes it's just playing out completely different than you would make it if you simulated it at normal speed and then slowed it down, so you have different results there. But it's always experimenting.
And those are all possibilities that the computer gives you, like to do it in many different ways, no?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay, Sandra?
I was wondering how you find the balance between this ugliness and this beautifulness, because I don't know, some of the things look beautiful to me. So what is the criteria that how do you determine your criteria? Is it just your personal contents that you find ugly that you put in the film, or do you talk with theoreticians of ugliness? Or
That would be nice to find them somewhere. But Yeah, it's very personal. Everything, like all the buildings, the clothes, the cars, and it's everything kind of comes from things that you've seen sometime in life. And I also have many. We're in a community of like 10 like animators, designers, photographers, and then you can always show it to people, which is nice. Like if I would do it at home, that would be much more difficult because then you get no feedback. But when you work in a little co-working environment, then you can show it to people and get some feedback, and that's what I did as well on the film. It was always when you finish animating a scene, you can show it to someone, and then they tell you, oh, maybe it's too long, maybe you can shorten it, and then. So yeah, there's been a lot of discussing stuff with other people, because everybody has their. Sorry.
Everybody found it ugly. Question
like
mark.
the film in general, or some. Well, ugly is a thing of definition. I think it's you can't say this is ugly or this is beautiful. So I think that's also the interesting part of the project. Like, what do you define as ugly? Or what for some people the ugly is the beautiful.
Yeah,
and
kitsch is a subjective thing. For somebody, kitsch is beautiful as well. So it's actually a theoretical discussion now. But Sandra, we will not prolong it. So what you said now, like this environment of co-working with 10 people, actually that was the environment where you were doing the film.
Yes, I think not many of them actually worked on the film. Just one person worked on the film, and the other ones who worked on it, they were spread out everywhere, like across different countries, and they came after the Kickstarter campaign.
So actually, like internet community. I mean, working on distance, it's no problem nowadays. No? Sending in files and stuff, no?
Yeah.
But also, all together in the production, how many persons?
On and off, we all worked part-time because there was not enough budget. And I think we were like 10 on the film, like animating, designing, building stuff.
Okay, one more question. Yes. Sasha Sedlacek.
I will just continue what you just said. That, the project was on Kickstarter, and you said it was successful. So I just want to know what does that mean? I mean, what was the budget that you expected, and what did you get?
I knew we didn't have many followers like before Kickstarter, so I didn't expect much. Because it's also very difficult now to do Kickstarter because it's not this dream platform where you can always easily raise money. Like in the beginning, you could just have a soup and then say, yeah, I'm going to raise 50,000 with a soup. Doesn't work. So you have to, it's very difficult to do. But it worked, luckily, and the budget that we got in the end was not enough. We still had 2 years to finish it and to still work, but what was good is that suddenly it was not just my mom and my dad who knew about the project. It was suddenly some animators from different countries, and then they are like, yeah, I want to work with on that project. I want to help out, and the community, the ugly community, grew slightly, and that was the most positive thing about the Kickstarter. Like you get the project out there. It's like campaigning for your film.
So it was more getting a crew than getting the money.
I didn't expect the crew. Yeah.
Also friends. Fans. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it has many benefits, but it's a lot of work. But yeah, that's the main reason. Like, get the project out. Show it to people, and also motivate yourself, because once the project is out there, you can't hide yourself anymore and not finish it. You have to finish it.
This is an important question. Actually, we are always trying at Animateka with discussions with the authors to emphasize also this financial part, which is like the part that usually the author is not involved. There should be a producer, but with such a project, I would say it was not funded publicly, right?
It was partly funded based on my student project, but it was not enough. that would be enough for a couple of months.
Okay,
probably.
because I would say that also for a founder, it would be not so easy to explain, you know, this way of working, because maybe they would say, well, what is this?
For example, Canal Plus wanted to maybe consider it, but then they started changing the ending and changing the music in the end, and those we still have taken a different music in the end, but I just felt it's not what we want to do with the project.
You don't have like your own company or your own studio. Actually, it's an independent work at the end, because in Germany, it's luckily you can apply as an individual, right?
Yes, we don't have a company.
But are you considering now to create like a ugly name to what you're doing for a company? Because I think that this should be then the start of some marketing or trying to reach out to get back some financial, you know, like what Draško was saying, or just to try to place it into the commercial world somehow.
Yeah, I still need to figure out that master plan in the end. How to make money with your arty animation. It's still difficult, but I think first step maybe is done. Now it's just to find a medium, maybe do a computer game or make a series. I think that's where the money could come in, but I think it's still difficult.
360 VR? Are you
yes, yeah, will happen. We do everything.
With ugly, so
yeah.
Next year, maybe you'll have it already, because we plan to have some opening on VR, but
in 4 years.
4 years. Okay, we have to stop. Nikita will be with us until tomorrow morning. No, so today, if you want to know more, get more into technical stuff, just buy him beers, or maybe not a beer today. Thank you very much, Nikita Diakur, for your ugly presentation.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.